The city of Gyeongju in South Korea is renowned for its historical relics and traditional villages. The Yoon family had been living here for generations. In one of the narrow streets of Gyeongju, in an old Hanok-style house, grandfather Yoon and his granddaughter Jiyoon resided. Elder Yoon had served as a head priest in the ancient temple of the village throughout his life. However, as he grew old, he retired from the temple and opened a small tea shop in the village. Jiyoon, having lost her parents, began living with her grandfather. Life in the village was peaceful and serene, even during the times when tea leaves were harvested and prepared as dried leaves. Grandfather Yoon would serve traditional Korean tea to his guests in his small shop while narrating stories from ancient folk tales. However, Jiyoon, instead of working in her grandfather's peaceful tea shop, dreamed of receiving education in the big city. Despite her grandfather's warnings about the challenges she would face in the city due to the strict discipline she learned in the temple, the young girl's dreams and passion for city life outweighed everything else. One morning, Jiyoon began packing her suitcase to go to the big city. Although her grandfather was against it, he did not try to dissuade her. "Working for your dreams is sacred," he said, allowing his granddaughter to go. He only gave her a hairpin he found under an old peach tree. "Remember the peach tree every morning you wear this pin," he said. Despite the sadness in her grandfather's eyes, Jiyoon nodded and set off for the city. In Seoul, Jiyoon initially felt liberated. She excelled in school, made new friends, and enjoyed the energy of city life. However, as time passed, the intensity of her studies, the chaos of the big city, and the high cost of living began to wear down the young girl's spirit. She couldn't sleep at night and missed the peaceful days at her grandfather's house. She thought of the peach tree in the tea shop and her grandfather's soothing stories. One day, on her way back from school, she noticed the hairpin in her pocket. Remembering her grandfather's advice, she took off the pin she wore that morning and started playing with her hair. At that moment, she thought of returning to Gyeongju, but she didn't want to give up. She wanted to succeed without disappointing her grandfather. Meanwhile, due to the economic crisis in the city, the cafe where Jiyoon worked went bankrupt and closed down. She tried to find another job to make money, but she was unsuccessful. She became increasingly hopeless and started thinking that going back home might be a better idea. Just then, she received a letter from her grandfather. In the letter, he wrote, "My dear granddaughter, the branches of our peach tree have blossomed this spring. There is always a place for you here. Don't hesitate to come back home." Upon reading the letter, tears welled up in Jiyoon's eyes, and she decided resolutely to return to Gyeongju. When she arrived in Gyeongju, Grandfather Yoon welcomed her with a warm smile. Jiyoon said, "Grandfather, I want to stay here." With a smile, her grandfather replied, "Of course, this is your home." She started working in the tea shop and served tea to customers while telling them stories with her grandfather. One day, Grandfather Yoon suddenly fell ill and became unable to get out of bed. Jiyoon took care of him with great care, but her grandfather did not recover. From where he lay, he called out to his granddaughter one last time. "Jiyoon, I am proud of you. Don't forget the peach tree and take good care of it." After these words, he closed his eyes. Jiyoon couldn't recover from the pain of losing her grandfather for a long time. Without her grandfather, she tried to run the shop alone. While preparing tea, she tried to keep the shop running by telling her grandfather's stories. Over time, people in Gyeongju began to hear about the young girl's stories and delicious teas. Her tea shop became a legend in the village. Every visitor began writing wishes on the peach tree in the tea shop to keep her grandfather's memory alive. Jiyoon continued to grow the shop by preserving her grandfather's teachings and legacy. The memories she shared with her grandfather and the stories she learned became a source of hope for her every morning with the first rays of the sun. The peach tree blooming at dawn became a symbol of her grandfather's love and the strength she derived from her roots. Jiyoon lived her life with her grandfather's legacy, and the tea shop remained the center of her respected and inspiring stories.